Yeah. I'm talking about the greatest. Hold up. Never with that fakeish. Roll up. Really saw the real when he was young. Muhammad Ali was still the same when he growed up. Louisville strong, we all knew. He the chosen one. He the chosen one. He knocked out Lister and shocked the world and left it frozen, huh? Exposing the hatred America had for us. Ain't no justice, it was just us. 1974. Rumble in the jungle, the Triller and Manila left you humble. After Ali beat Foreman, he made a phone call to a DC brother named Harold Bell. He didn't call ABC, NBC. He didn't call Ed Bradley at 60 Minutes. He didn't call Howard Cosell. He floated like butterflies, stung like a bee. And Ali made me proud to be me. He called Harold Bell in DC. Ali, a global cultural icon. Yeah. He's rope a dope like a time bomb. Rumble, young man, rumble. Beautiful young man, triumph for the rumble. Young man, rumble. Beautiful young man, never tumbled. Rumble. Young man, Ali, Harold Bell just got here on Kendrick and Ramba. Rumble, young man, humble, beautiful young man, never time for the devil, time for the. Now we're talking about Harold Bell, just got here on. Yeah, now we're talking about Harold Bell, real godfather of sports talk, a man that talk and walk that walk, a media community pioneer. Share the same radio mic as P. Green. Over the air, his voice came through loud and clear. When the streets of the original Chocolate City were mean, they did not have to scream, yeah. Unlike today's radio host, the first black American to host and produce his own sports talk radio show in D.C. Oh yeah, this brother was bad G. The show was christened Inside Sports. The tag given to him by his wife Hattie T, stolen by the powers to be. His interviews and friendship with Ali and Red Auerbach put his Inside Sports talk show on the map. On his radio show, he interviewed some of the most famous athletes, reverend and reviewed the people and the struggle. His wife Hattie T found the kids in trouble, incorporated in the Hillcrest Saturday program in 1968.
All right. I tell you. Hi, I'm Harold Bell, and this is the original Inside Sports coming to you from the Inside Sports Legacy Network. I'm here with my co-host and executive producer, Shannon Roundtree, a young brother that grew up here in Washington, D.C. He founded everything in the DMV, that's radio. Young man that I'm glad to have aboard with me on every Saturday live from 11 o'clock until 12 o'clock. Hey, Shannon, how you doing, my brother? No, man, this is, they done carried me in a whole different direction today, boy. I didn't even turn the television on. I was trying to get things ready for today's show as you and I were on earlier, and you told me they attacked Iran. I could not believe it. Wow.
Yeah, I think the day is coming where, that World War III type of thing is in the mix. It's present day.
It's here, man. Well, I'm going to get started anyway because I really wanted to talk about Black history, but I don't know what kind of history to talk about today, but I was thinking about Elijah Rogers, man. I mean, Elijah Cummings, man, the former congressman from Baltimore, in his last speech on the oversight committee with Michael Cohen, who was there testifying, of course, against his boss, Donald Trump. And one thing that Elijah said, man, that really blew all of us out of the water, and I'm just paraphrasing now. He asked Michael Cohen, he said, man, when you are here dancing with the angels, will you be able to say, what can you say about what you did to enhance the lives and future of all Americans? Can you say that we are in a better place today than we were years ago? Will you be able to say that? Will you be able? What did you do? What did you do to help the future of American residents. And man, and here we are today. And Michael Cohen just looked at it. And that was a hell of a statement, man. What can we say? What can those Democrats and Republicans on the Hill, when we look back and see exactly what Elijah Cummings was saying, what did you do? And we watched, those of us who watched the State of the Union message, man, we knew we were in bad shape when that message was over. We watched the President of the United States talk down to intelligent Black and white politicians like they were little children. He talked about the Supreme Court like they were nobody. And they sit there and they took it. We watched them escort Al Green, congressman from Texas, out of the chamber, man, because he held up a sign saying Michelle and Barack Obama are not gorillas. We watched them escort him out of the State of the Union message for the second year in a row. And everyone knew what he was going to do. And I was so disappointed that I did not see at least those Black men and women politicians get up and walk out behind them. And here we are, and not even a week, man, later. This man just gone on and decided he's going to do what he wants. And that bummed Iran. Now, I want to take time out to welcome my guests. I want to welcome. You know, this show. I came up with this show when I attended the tribute to James Baldwin at the Lincoln Theater last week. The Lincoln Theater, and of course, Ben's Chili Bowl and Next Door played a big part in that. And I almost didn't go. But Lynn had sent me an invitation. Lynn and I hadn't been many years since Lynn and I had talked. I think it probably was at the last Black Repertoire Theater at the Lincoln Theater some years ago when Robert Hooks was on it. But man, I wanna say I want to welcome all my guests. Lynn, great man, production, man. I was inspired by it. I was inspired by because of the courage of James Baldwin. I go by all that LBGQ, oh man, the hell with that. But the man stood up eyeball with all of those white supremacists and racist, man. And he really wasn't appreciated. Like most men or women with courage who stand up and tell the truth. We always want to hear the truth as long as it's about somebody else, but we don't want to hear the truth about ourselves. And that is what was happening, not only with James Baldwin, but a lot of other Black men and women who have stood up over the years. I was inspired, man. Not only the great production, Lynn, that you wrote and produced, man, but the people that performed in it, the people that I met next door that I hadn't seen in years, on top of years. I was inspired by that. Inspired as I left the theater, and that was like home to me. The U Street corridor, the Black Broadway was like home to me. But as I left that theater, I did not feel comfortable walking with my wife and her friend near to the car that was parked 2 blocks away on B Street. And those of you who know what I'm talking about, that's where the elementary school, Harrison Elementary was, where was my home, Harrison Recreation. And we saw these 4 National Guardsmen. And my neighbor and goddaughter, Neil, went over and asked them to escort us to the car. I was relieved because I didn't feel comfortable making that journey to the car. So here we are, Now on a whole nother journey. I want to welcome Lynn Dyson, who has been a part of the Black Repertoire Theater for I guess over 4 decades, because that's where we first met. I want to welcome Lynn, and I want to welcome my dear friend, little brother, I call him Kamal Ali, owner of Ben's Chili Bowl, and where I was the historian for 6 years. I want to welcome Kamal. I want to welcome Joe Wilson, who has been a community advocate, entrepreneur, businessman. Has been out in the community working with young people and seniors for decades. I want to welcome Joe here. Also, I want to welcome Don Baker. Don hasn't gotten here yet. He's looking for his laptop. But Kamal, Joe, and of course Lynn, and welcome to the legends of Inside Sports, the original Inside Sports. You guys go back a long way with me, and we gotta address the gorilla in the room, man. It's Donald Trump, and it's Israel, man, that have attacked Iran. And as Lynn was saying, man, Iran is hooked up with a lot of the big boys, China, Russia. This is World War III. Lynn, why don't you lead us on out of here and kind of give us an idea about where are we as Black Americans? What is the state of Black Americans in the U.S. today, Lynn?
Well, that's quite a heavy statement. I want to go back to Baldwin for a second. Baldwin, and people don't know this, he had a long discussion with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He had long discussions with Malcolm X. He had long discussions with Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, and he was very grounded in Black people being responsible and speaking truth to power. I think that has continued, but one of the things that is missing in our community, and Joe and Kamal can attest to this, that we have to take all of this truth to power and we have to put a capsule of economic development under it. Because if you do not have economic development in a capitalistic society, and that's what we are in, a capitalistic society, then you cannot develop a structure for all of the truth to power that we want to speak to. The truth to power has to have a structure to it in order to survive in a capitalistic society. I think we can say there's the capitalistic with greed, and then there's the capitalistic that helps people, lifts people up. You know, some people may call it capital who are socialists, you know, I don't know. But I think that is where Black America has to go. We have to pay for our culture. We have to pay for the right to speak truth to power. We're not just a minority in this country. We have never been with Africa, but we have to have a structure in order to network with these countries. Look at what's happening in Burkina Faso. You know, so Black America has to wake up economically and tie into structures around all the things it wants to do. You have people like the Urban League and NAACP and all of that. What would happen if white America said, we're not going to give to you all anymore? With NAACP, the Urban League, would they be able to survive? You know, our HBCU colleges, they're dependent on federal money and so forth, you know. So we have to economically undergrid our own culture. We have to start thinking like that. I don't know where it's going to begin, but maybe it have to begin with us. Maybe we have to think as entrepreneurs, maybe Joe and Ben and me and whoever else, got to combine our forces and saying Black folk are going to take a stand. And there are Black businesses, Black networks in the country, like Dr. Boyce Watkins and different people who are economically empowering us on a larger level. John Bryant with Operation Hope. There's a lot of stuff that's happening that Black cultural stuff we want to do, all the truth, the power that we want to speak. If you don't have the economics around it, then it will fall apart.
Mm-hmm. Kamal, being a businessman, an entrepreneur, and guy in the community, you just written a book, I understand, and I understand that you have hooked up with some other brothers in the community to try to combat this gun violence. All of this is not just coming upon us. It's been there for decades, man. We've been trying to find a way to get to our young people and stop them from killing each other. As a businessman, being on the U Street corridor for decades now, I run out of answers, man. You know, I can't be out there like I once was. So I got to look to you guys to find out exactly, have some idea where are we headed, Kamal.
Yes, sir. You know, this was the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March. And when I went back and I thought about what has been empowering for Black men, and I thought about that one-day event that was so fantastic, where 1 million Black men came from all over this country, probably some internationally, to join us at the mall, you know, and for reconciliation, to help each other, to serve our young people. And when I think about that, I said, you know, he sat at the mall in 1995 and reflected back from 1965 when MLK was speaking and said, where have we come in 30 years? By the numbers. And now where have we come in another 30 years? And the movement, you know, has not been what we want it to be. It has been minimal. Now, you know, there's some good things happening in our community, but there's a percentage. I mean, if we have 25% of us as college graduates, that leaves 75% who have not graduated from college. We have a great amount of us doing well, making a decent living, but we have another group, you know, doing poorly. So it's up to us to reach back. It's up to us to reach back and uplift, you know, to uplift the others. And so when I look at that march, I really think of, for me, I'm focused on the young Black men and boys who are not doing as well, because it's going to take all of us to help them. And if we're not going to help them as older Black men, who's going to help them? The ladies doing all they can. Nobody's coming to save us but us. And so I agree with Lynn Dyson. And, you know, Claude Anderson wrote a book called Powernomics that addresses that. But I'm so glad you called this conversation, Harold, because, you know, when I look back and say, where is the conversations being held for planning? Who's having it? You know, we have a report every year, right? That says the state of Black America, right? But where's the real plan? Where's the economics mixed with the education, mixed with the politics, mixed with the business, right? Mixed with the religious leaders. We need a comprehensive leadership group, right? And where's our leadership? So if we don't have a comprehensive leadership group holding the discussions to formulate a plan for our upliftment. So I'm like you, Harold, I get a little frustrated with it, but I'm so glad you called this conversation, because it has to start somewhere. Yeah. It has to start somewhere. And then we can add other people to the mix. But I'm focused on just individually helping each young Black man to rise and to reach his potential through my book and through speaking and through helping. I'm trying to start a national mentorship program for Black men and boys.
Well, one of the big problems that we have in Black America is that everybody is created a narrative but us. We don't own no CBS. We don't own no NBC, CNN. Every time we get a foothold, look like we get in the media with Ebony, with BET, they buy us out. Because you know what? They want to control the narrative, man. And that is one of the big problems. And you know what I did? The first thing after the State of the Union message, I got up about 5 o'clock because I wanted to see how each local news station was going to lead into that. We know that was going to be the lead story. And each station in Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 5, Channel 4, when they talked about the State of the Union message, none of them said anything about Donald Trump skipping over the Epstein files. Never mentioned. Channel 9 was the only one to mention because of the governor from Virginia. She did the follow-up, right? She mentioned it, but none of the local news, they've never mentioned it. So the problem is, who can we trust when it comes to getting our word out? You know, I mean, I did the best I could for almost 40, 50 years with Inside Sports till they ran me off the air. You know, we got to find a group of people that are going to come together that we can trust, man. Right now, we can't even trust each other because we don't have those media outlets, man, to get the word out. Joe Wilson, I want you to come on in because I know you have been a part of this community, Native Washingtonian. You worked for, of course, the Metro system for decades. You've been an entrepreneur. You work with nonprofit organizations, and man, what do you see, Joe, as you move around and you're still out there, Joe?
Good morning to everyone, or good afternoon, I guess. Well, it's still morning, so good morning to everyone. First of all, thank you, Harold, for having me back on board again. And Mr. Dyson, really nice to meet you guys. And Ben Ali, I've seen you around many, many years and been a part of coming into your restaurant. I got to tell you guys something. I agree with each and every one of you wholeheartedly. I have worked with the Metropolitan Transit Authority for over 30 years on maintenance and engineering side. We used to oversee and track rights and things of that nature. And work with nonprofits, which I still am working with a nonprofit. Just started with another one, and seeking out some of my other ventures. I have worked with the fatherhood programs. I am deeply rooted in making sure our young youth, period, succeed in some kind of way. We focus in on entrepreneurship, ventures, getting your education, things of that nature. But I will say this. Let me just go back to something I've said, Harold, once before, and just to capitalize on what Mr. Dyson and Mr. Ben Ali are talking about. We are the gatekeepers. We are the gatekeepers. We're the ones that are responsible for what's going on in our communities at this point in time. We don't have anybody else to look up to anymore. They're looking up to us, believe it or not. And we owe it to them and to ourselves and to our community to make sure that we reach back, as Mr. Ben Ali has stated, and pull them up in any kind of which way we can, because they are the future. Whether you want to face it or not, we're not going to be around long enough to see this thing through, right? So we need to make sure that they're capable and able, to move forward. And we have to equip them and arm them with that education, with the ability to move on, through mentorship, through all the love that we have to give them. The best way we can keep up with them is to keep up with ourselves and keep ourselves in check, to make sure that we're doing the right things, to make sure that they see us doing the right things, and they too will follow. I really believe that.
Yeah, we got to realize, man, too, and I learned at an early age, man. When I started working with the United Planning Organization in 1965, P.D. Green got me my first job with the United Planning Organization through Mr. James Banks, the CEO, and he hired three neighborhood workers, and that was P.D. Green, H. Rap Brown, and Harold Bell. People don't even realize that we were in that community a long time. I remember when Murrenberry came in, Stokey Carmichael came in here, H. Rap Brown, Harry. It was all the same time in 1965, man. Those were some powerful, powerful brothers, man. And it don't seem like we have those kind of brothers anymore, man, who are willing to take a stand. And I tell you, man, as I look around, and we don't really understand, man, that right on top of us now, we're headed back, man, to the 1700s, man. The Trump MAGA crew up in New York burned a black woman boots up with her in them. This is in New York City. Fairmont Heights, right outside of Washington, D.C., in the shadows. A young black brother was hung from a tree just a couple of months ago, and nobody knows about it. They said it was suicide. How many times have we heard that? Where does that tell you where we are, man? And with Trump, with that speech the other night, looking right down at Supreme Court people, man, talking about how disappointed he was in them. And I remember Luke Moore saying when Thurgood Marshall left us, we might never find another Thurgood Marshall, but there's got to be somebody out there like them. Shannon, do you have a minute of that video with my interview with Luke Moore? Would you play 2 minutes of it? Because I want everybody to hear what Luke was saying then and where we are now.
We're talking to Judge Luke Moore, senior judge at the D.C. Superior Court, and talking, of course, about the loss of two great lawyers, people who fought and put their lives on the line. Of course, Herb Reed and, of course, Justice Thurgood Marshall. You know, one of the things that reporters asked Thurgood Marshall in the press conference yesterday about somebody replacing him, should there be another black, I think his answer was, just find somebody who's qualified. I think what he really was saying, Luke, find somebody who's sensitive to the issues of minorities and the man on the lower the totem pole.
The key word, you gave the operative term, as you always do. That's the word. A person who is sensitive, a person who understands the issues, a person who is willing to take a stand on what some persons call controversial issues. They're not really controversial at all. They're really human issues. And persons who are willing to take a strong stand on them and be fair about it. And this is what he was saying. And I believe that person is out there. I believe that there are some persons out there who can do that. They may not be another Thurgood Marshall as such, because he was unique. He was unique in what and given his own background and how he had struggled and fought, and then having the opportunity to represent the NAACP Legal Defense Fund before the court on which he later came to sit himself. That's a unique path. You can't find that again. But there are persons out there who are sensitive to the various causes that come to that court. And you know, when the Supreme Court speaks, it speaks not just for the litigants that are before it, it speaks for the nation. It sets policy, legal policy for the nation. That's what that court does, and that's why it's so important to have sensitive persons on the court, and I believe the president is aware of that.
Well, Luke, it's so important to have sensitive people like you in our community, and you have had great impact, and I just want to say it's been my honor to be a friend of yours, and I want to say keep on doing the great things that you've been doing in the community, and we here at WST love you, and the community love you, and it's people like you too have had an impact. So, Luke, thanks for taking time out to be here on Inside Sports, and looking forward to having you here again.
Always ready to come on your program at any time, because if there's one person who has done something in this community and has always given his all to this community wherever he is, and in the media, and that's important. You are our voice in the media, and you have always done that, and we love you for it, Harold. And always will, and our friendship will always continue.
All right. Thank you very much, Judge Luke Moore. All right.
Yeah, that was Luke, man, and he's right, man. We'll never find anyone to replace Thurgood Marshall, not even close, because now Trump has locked the courts down with his people, man. And now that his people are on the bench, they're even ignoring anything that he says. So that stuff has come back to hit us in the face, man, where we are now. And I just say, man, well, we left with prayer. And Lynn, you were saying something about they have hit Dubai. They hit Dubai already. Who's next?
Yeah, I just heard that on the news this morning, but I want to bring this conversation back to us and what we must do. I truly believe, and I think all of you believe, that's a divine presence within us and it's working within the universe. And if there's a problem, and as a businessman, if that's a problem, then you think about what is the solution and where are you going to put your energy? Are you going to continue to put your energy in the problem, Trump, so forth, so on? He's doing this. And are we going to start looking at solutions about how do we uplift our people? And just thinking about you, Harold, in terms of you being in the media and networking and the technology we have now. You know, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, they didn't have this technology. Back in Marcus Garvey, they didn't have this technology then, but they built Black businesses, Black infrastructure. Elijah Muhammad, Nation of Islam, Black Hebrew Israelites. We built structures, right? Wall Street, Black Wall Street, before they tore it down, Black communities totally around the country were destroyed. You know, they highlight Black Wall Street, but there are Black communities thriving all over this country, and they destroyed them because Black folk had no choice but to internet and connect with each other and build up their own structure economically. So if we take you, Harold, and if we took your media piece and you plugged into my media piece, we plugged in some other Black business media pieces, we create our own network of getting the voice out. We don't have to worry about the NBCs and all of that. And at some point, they will attack the internet structure. That means we got to plug into probably Africa or one of the satellites over there that they plugged up. Because ultimately, you know, if we get sophisticated enough and tie all the YouTubes and all the Facebooks and all that, or create our own, we don't need that. We communicate ourselves. Come on, you're doing a mentor program. Joe, you're doing a mentor. Suppose we all pull our mentor programs together. You all doing entrepreneur programs. Suppose you pull all our entrepreneur programs together, right? You know, you get the money from corporate, you get the money from SBA or whatever. You take that money and we build our own structure. Because at some point, when you start speaking truth to power and you start prospering, they're going to cut it off. But by that time, we were already doing business with Africa. By that time, we're already doing business with Caribbeans. By that time, we're already doing businesses with California and DC and you know, the mid Chicago Black Business Network. We have to build our own infrastructure. I can't care less what Trump is doing. He's doing this, he's doing that. They're hanging people. Yes, they were doing that in slavery. And we got on the Underground Railroad and we kept moving. You fall by the wayside, you keep moving. Because what is the big vision? The big vision is freedom, to get to Canada, to get to the states that don't have slavery. You know, what is the solution? And I think we should put our energy into what is the solution. And if each one of us look at our own businesses and network with each other, we will have it. None of us can do it by ourselves. None. Joe can't do it. Y'all can't do it.
Lynn, we got a brother in New York that's doing exactly that. Shannon, we got a brother that started a Black Boys magazine, and it reminds me of Ebony magazine. I've been advertising him on this show. This is the type of thing that you're talking about, Lynn, that we should be doing, establishing our own. Shannon, can you run that promo on the Black magazine, please? Black Zone magazine, that's it.
You know, if I could jump in there, Harold.
Go ahead.
I would just say that I agree wholeheartedly with Lynn and what you guys are doing here with this media. It has to come. We just have to bring it all together. We're operating in silos. A lot of people doing good things, but we have to bring it together. And you know, when we were most together, as you guys referenced, was in segregation when we had to be. Right, we come together in times of trouble, and guess what? We're in trouble. So we come together again, but we have to. And comfort is our enemy. We cast it on the sidelines. We have to come together as people, and we have these national organizations, like you mentioned. You know, we have the National Urban League, we have the National Black Chamber, we have the NAACP. You know, when we had that Black Lives Matter movement, people mobilized together, and I was so worried that I said, "Where's the leadership for this?" And the young people said, "Well, we don't want a leader. Leader can be killed. Leader can be bought. Leader can be compromised." I said, "Okay, I get that." They said social media is the leader. I said, "Okay, that could be powerful. You can hit one button and reach 100,000 people, and you can hit a button and hit 1 million followers." I say, "But there still has to be some planning, some organization, and these networks, these national organizations, I don't know if they have it anymore. The Urban League puts out a report. Well, where are we getting together? Not just with politicians and media. Where are the educators? Where are the business people, Lynn, as you keep saying? Where the religious community? It has to be together. We have some organizations with chapters in every city, right? We have mega churches, right? But the coming together is what we have to do and empower these young people. I heard a report today that said the median age of Black people in this country is 32 years old, with a large number of them being under 20 years old. So it is a youth movement, and we have to set the stage and help to create and support the youth. We can create the next Thurgood Marshall, the next Martin Luther King, right? We can create these people by empowering them and letting their genius come out, empowering them for their brilliance to come out. So that's what we have to do, is come together, meeting and planning. And it starts here, Harold, with this conversation with the media, setting the tone and bringing more people together. Yeah. Congratulations to you.
Don Baker couldn't be with us. Hold on, Glenn. Don Baker was trying to be with us. His son did take his laptop, returned it without a charger, so he can't come on and join us. Go ahead, Lynn. Go ahead, Lynn.
I'm going to be very brief. I think that's a couple of key people we need to plug into, and you're right, there's no leader, but there are people who are pulling a lot of folk together. And one is John Hope Bryant. He is tying into the whole corporate structure, the whole economic development, and instead of civil rights, he said silver race, SILVER, in terms of financial literacy is very critical. That's a main component. He's put together a master plan, I think, for Black America that he's pulled together using his AI stuff and all that. That's a key person. The other person is Dr. Boyce Watkins. He's tying into Claude Anderson's Powernomics. He's tying into the Marcus Garvey movement. And if you tie all those things together, not saying that they are the answers, but they have a broad coalition that are definitely rooted in Black economic development. And that's why I'm saying that's key. So I think there's a couple of people on the national level that we need to plug into but let's get it together here in DC. Let's organize ourselves as tight as we can be here in DC on the economic, political, social, cultural movement, and then tie into the bigger picture.
Okay. All of us have been in DC for a long time now, and we've been out in the community, we've done certain things. But still in DC, man, there's still a clique among Black folks, man. And when you talk about bringing us together, yeah, I agree with that. We need to come together. But who's going to be that voice that's going to bring us together? Like Kamal said, who's going to be that one voice that's going to bring us together? We don't have a Martin Luther King. We don't have even Marion Barry. My problem with Marion. Marion was able to bring people together, man. And we got to find out a way, man, to get past this me, and I. Bring us together as a team, man. So that is the problem. That's why I wanted to run that magazine to show you what this brother Maurice Woodson was doing in New York by himself. He put out this magazine that's free. You don't have to pay. And you go up there, you can see some of the greatest articles edited. This is the type of thing that we need to do, and I agree. Now, I'm going to tell you, like Bill Cosby, I never can forget this. He said, man, I'm on the way out, not on the way in. I got to leave it up to these young folks that, like Shannon, who's out there trying to do this technology with social media. Young people like himself, man, got to step forward. Man, we're in bad shape, man, as we head into 2026, 2027. I don't know what it holds for us. I'm gonna try to do my part as much as I can, but man, we got a lot of obstacles out there that's holding us back.
Well, let me just say also that we're in a different time period than we've ever been before, and to some degree, the playing field is getting more level in terms of AI, in terms of streaming services, in terms of you can become a millionaire overnight with the right video, going viral and whatnot. So So we had to use that the young people will use that to their advantage, hopefully. We have to set the stage for them, have the meetings support them. All those leaders you mentioned, whether it's Martin Luther King or Marion with them, when did they start? They were probably 30 something or younger when they were really starting, and they had that energy to sustain a movement for 20 years. We're going to find a young leader and support him or her, and the women are doing great right now. But we do have to come together, and that is a very tricky question, Harold. You're right. And like I said, we only come together when things are really bad. We only come together when they are killings by white police on black people on camera. That's what brought that Black Lives Matter together. So we can't take the foot off the pedal. That movement was going so well. So many things were happening, and I just wanted it to continue. Keep the foot on the pedal. And as soon as you stop seeing the white police killing black people on camera, we're going back to the club. We're going back to the game. We got comfortable all over again. And then they took everything back that they gave and took some more back on top of that. So we have to be diligent, but so we have to really start this movement of mentorship, of coming together, and of planning. So this is, it just takes two people to start. So hopefully this can be a start. Shannon's taking his cues and said, I'm going to keep this radio show broadcast going long after Harold Bell is gone. We need Roach Brown's show to continue long after he is gone, right? You guys work for 40 years building your legacy, and it has to continue and grow from there with the young people.
Shannon?
No, absolutely. I agree with everything you gentlemen are saying, man. I appreciate y'all for being here to, help that message get out. And I really want to focus on like what I have the passion for is, and that's in bringing people together and encouraging them. And especially with, taking ownership of their civic duty. I think that's where a lot of it is missing. And I think that there needs to be more things to get into the community. And I think that the way that we need to do that is through the mediums that our young people already indulge in, even though it might not be the best looking avenue, but that's the way that, you got to reach them because that's where they are. So I've been putting together a number of different things to, try to reach them. One of them is the First Voice Collectives, which teaches them, about our people who have came before us, who they can see in different roles in life to see how they have changed things in the past through, policy and through community activity and through different organizations. But I do it in a way where we introduce them through the fashion that they're already wearing, through technology for them to not only get history on, where their people have been and what they've came from, but also to encourage them to register to vote, know where their local polling places are, know what the issues are. And we break it down so that it's not complex to understand, but in the everyday language that everybody can use. So I love the fact of coming together and using multimedia and media and different avenues to reach them, because honestly, that's where they're at right now. So
I want to say one thing. I want to ask Lynn. Lynn, what was your first encounter to civil rights and racism? What was your first encounter? When did you realize that we were sitting in the back of the bus and never had really got a chance to sit up front? When did you first realize that?
I was born in New York City, but I left when I was 3 years old, and I moved to Nelson County, Virginia, which is not too far from Charlottesville, Lynchburg, down in that area. Mm-hmm. And my first encounter is that when I went to the store, I couldn't go through the front door. I had to go to the back of the store to get my food or groceries or whatever that we were going to get. And I was like 9, 10, this was like the 50s, right? Late 50s. I had to go to the back of the store. I said, this is not right. What is this about? Mm-hmm. So it hits you in the face, the more you become aware of it. But if I could shift the topic to what Shannon was talking about, you're right, Shannon. The whole media and all where young people are, the things the way they dress, all that is a way to get to them. As we sit here at 10 o'clock this morning, I have a personal development workshop going on right now for young people, and at from 10 to 11, and then from 11 to 12, right now, they're in financial literacy. That's what they're taking right now. The first part is their emotional intelligence in terms of personal development. And the second part is the financial literacy. They need to know about money. You just can't talk about it. You got to walk it. So that's what they're doing now. 12:30, they take lunch. And then at 1 o'clock, Randy Payton is coming in and teaching them journalism, entrepreneurship, and AI. That's happening from 12:30 to 1:30. From 1:30 to 2:30, we're doing video production. And from 2:30 to 3:30, they're doing technical theater. So all those things you saw at the Baldwin show, all the things you gentlemen you're talking about, you got to walk the talk and do what you say you're going to do. And so I'm just saying that, again, the civil rights, the hangings, Trump, yes. Been there, done that. It's still happening. And when I was running to get off that plantation, I'm gonna put myself back in the day. I knew about the Underground Railroad. I studied, I planned, I looked at how the big house worked at the plantation. I looked how the farms worked down there, and I planned and I organized people that I could trust, and we broke out and got our freedom. And we probably blew up the big house while we did it.
Amen.
So I'm just saying. And then I went to Canada and networked with people that made stuff happen. So Harold, that's the answer.
Yeah, I want to speak right there with that. I want to ask Kamal that same thing, man. I'm saying that to give you some idea where I'm going. Kamal, when did you realize that you were in the civil rights movement, or there was racism growing up in Advanced Chili Bowl, man? Coming up under your mom and dad. When did you first realize, man?
Well, my inspiration writing this book, Harold, is that I had 3 young men and a first cousin killed from gun violence. From gun violence, killed 3 young men, and so this is my inspiration. So that's racism enough for me, or that showing the condition of our people and what has caused that condition over these hundreds of years, right? Mm-hmm. What has affected their mentality? How do we get here to this place? Everyone does the best they can, but why are we struggling like this? Who has introduced drugs to the community? Who has decimated, who's broken up black men from their families. So, all this, we know there's a long history here that we have to build from. But I would say this too. I want to emphasize that we have to use our power. You mentioned that we control the sports industry, right? From a player's perspective, right? We have all the players in sports. We have all the musicians in music. We control entertainment, we control sports, and we control fashion. And our spending power is whatever the $1.8 trillion in spending power or something like that African Americans have. We have to use our power, and that's it coming together. If we use that power together, that's a foundation. That's a foundation to build from.
Okay, Joe, when did you first encounter racism and realize that there was a civil rights movement that you needed to get involved in? When did you first realize? What age?
Oh man. Probably when I was about 4 or 5, lady used to keep me, was disabled, and we went downtown. I remember on 7th Street, we were at the, I think it was a 5 and Dime or something there, or Murphy's 5 and Dime, something, one of those type of stores. They had a hot dog stand. We used to get these, and when she would go shopping, or go down around 7th and, I want to say that's 7th and G, 7th and F, around in that area. And I remember feeling so bad. I used to call her Mama Hattie. I used to feel so bad for her. I said, Mama Hattie, you struggling to get around, and why don't we get a cab? And I said, there's a cab right there. And it was Diamond Cab. She said, well, they don't pick us up, sweet. I said, what do you mean they don't pick us up? And my daddy had cabs, Well, they don't pick us up. Diamond Cab didn't pick us up. And then I remember us going into the 5 and Dime store, and it wasn't a 5 and Dime. It was called Murphy something. It's going to come to me. I'm having a moment. But we had to stand at the end of the counter. Everybody else is sitting down. Mama had to, why don't you sit down? Baby, we not allowed to really sit down. This is still in the early 60s, man. And then we went to I went to Garfinkel's with my father's mother, my grandmother, and we was going through the side door. Now, as a child, I'm not really, it's not really coming together, but it's coming together. And then, of course, we go back and forth down south, and we would travel at night. We never traveled during the day. And that sheriff would tell my folks, people coming in town, this is basically, they call it sundown town. Well, you're out of here by sundown. You're not allowed here, So there were a lot of little things that came into play, woke me up. And I realized at a very early age, through my uncles and grandparents, we kept everything in house, man. We grew our own food. Hell, I didn't see a grocery store almost until I was 16 years old. We grew our own vegetables. We slaughtered a pig or a bull once a year. Go down the country and everybody, we shared the meat. My grandfather was an outdoorsman, so we had fish on Fridays and rabbit and things like that. So we were self-sufficient. And one thing I want to circle back on with you guys, because I heard I'm like Mr. Dyson. I've heard this before. I've seen all this. This thing with these folks gonna continue on. I'm done with trying to change them. I have mixed emotions about segregation. Desegregation. I don't give a damn about desegregation. Desegregation didn't help us a whole lot. We were self-sufficient in our own community before then.
Yeah.
We had Ben's Chili Bowl. We had doctors and lawyers who lived along 14th Street, 13th Street, over there on 8th and H. I know what I'm talking about here, guys. And we had our black banks throughout the country and everywhere else. Let me tell you something. My family down there in the South, man, hell, they ain't had no summer jobs. My wife went out and picked pecans. And to this day, she don't want to see a damn pecan. You know what I mean? This is true talk, man. Peach, she won't touch a peach.
Let me say why I was saying all this. Because these young folks today, Joe, they are born thinking somebody owe them something. Shannon, show that lunch counter thing in Greensboro, and show that poster, man. When I was born into racism and segregation, it was there, and I didn't realize that it was there. That picture right there is a Spotswood Bowling. That's my teammate. And he was the lead plaintiff in Brown versus Board of Education in DC Public Schools. Spotswood and I grew up carrying groceries at the Safeway. We played Little League ball. We didn't think anything about, racism and stuff until Spotswood, those young men right there, those 4 young men from Greensboro, North Carolina A&T College, 4 freshmen, decided enough was enough in 1960. They decided to walk down to the 5 and dime Woolworth and sit at the lunch counter. 1960. Now, where was I in 1960? I was at Winston-Salem State College, 30 miles away from Greensboro. And who did I meet in 1960 at our athletic banquet? Our speaker was the great Jim Brown, representing Pepsi Cola. And Big House Games told all freshmen, you guys can't come to this banquet. This is for the upperclassmen. Now, he had no business telling me that. What did I do? I went to the banquet and met Jim Brown. You understand? 1960 is when I first realized that there was civil rights, there was racism because of those 4 young men in Greensboro. That boycott moved 30 miles up the road to Winston-Salem. And what the Big House Games call all the athletes together for? If I catch any of you down there demonstrating, I'm giving you a one-way ticket back to the ghetto. What did he tell me that for? Me and my 3 of my men, we went down there to be a part of that boycott, man. That's when I first realized. But these young people today, they're not born into this stuff. Somebody has to lead them and tell them, what the real deal is, because they got a lot of advantages that we didn't have, man. So,
and by the way, Harold, that was a Woolworth.
What we're talking about here, man, what we had to go through, man, and I had to go through it. I lived it. And that's why I'm still living it today. you know? And I know there's got to be some light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train. It has to be these young people.
You know, there was a book called The Miseducation of the Negro, right? By Carter G. Woodson. Well, again, what you're talking about, Harold, is we have to re-educate, I call it, they need a reboot, right? You know, you turn your phone off and your phone ain't working right, and reboot it. You know, the programming of our young people, the education or the miseducation of our young people is off. Now they're brilliant now. Don't get me wrong, they're brilliant young people, but the program is that they're running in their head is off. And so my book is about changing their mindset, and we have to re-educate them, right, about these issues and about themselves and about their worth, and re-educate them and reboot them in a different way. That's what it's all about.
Okay. No, we get
Harold, this is the first
we'll give
time.
everybody the last word to go out of here. We got to start getting that ready. Go ahead, Lynn. Go ahead, Lynn.
Real quick, I'm just so inspired by you today, Harold, and I would love for you to come and do maybe a 1-hour session with your multimedia. Have you tied this together for our young people? You know, and when we talk about young people generally, but I'm talking about our young people in our workshop. You come to our studio. We have technology there. We have screens there. I would like you to make a presentation and give them the historical significance of the things you're talking about, because they haven't faced what you faced, I faced, Kamal faced, Joe has faced. They feel they're entitled. They take for granted. They got to have a historical context to use this technology to move forward. So I thank you for being on, and I'm inspired by you, and I'd like you to come out and talk to our young people.
Okay, Joe?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, Harold. It was Woolworth that was down on 7th and G. Same thing. But I want to tell you, I do want to say this to you guys. I'm inspired just to be around you guys and to have this conversation. I like to see us really come together as we are and continue to move forward and have more conversation, but to do something with that conversation. So to Dyson's point, I would like for us and to encompass that invitation to maybe have a round table with these youth. You know, Ben Ali, man, your family's huge, man. You guys said, you guys are capital, man. You started out, your dad started out with, just think about this, man, some hot dogs, right?
That's right.
Think about that, brother. I mean, that's and you guys have built an empire on that. So, people need to see that. I mean, you have to start somewhere, but I can't say this enough, guys. We're the ones that make this happen. We have nobody else to look forward to doing this. We need to be strategic about it and very, very, very forceful about it. Getting these kids ready, because they are ready. They'll listen to us. I mean, Mr. Dyson, you got them in there today. Today is Saturday, man.
Yes.
Today is Saturday. Yeah. All right. They don't have my program runs during the week. Okay. But you come in, you get kids to come to your spot on a Saturday and spend the whole day. That speaks volumes, man. So thank you.
Well, they're getting paid.
Yeah. And Len, you got me anytime you want. I've been there. And as we get to Kamal, I was inspired, man. You never know, whether people gonna let you smell your flowers while you're here. They always want to give you flowers when you're out of here. Oh man, he was so great. He did this, he did that. Well, on Monday night, I was called over to the table, my wife and I, about Vita, Kamal's sister-in-law, that Ms. Ali wanted to take a picture with Hattie and myself. So we went over there because Hattie I don't know how she ended up being sitting at the same table where Virginia was, but we went over there, and as we give her take the picture, Virginia looked up at me and said, "This young man helped me save my business." And that blew me away. I said, wow, you never know. And me being me, I always wonder if people really appreciate what I've done in this town. And Kamal, you sit right there as I tried to bring cops together in that community, had forums in Ben's Chili Bowl, at Bible Way Church. I was bringing cops together way back when. I've done more police community relations forums than anybody in this town. And I've done several of them at Ben's Chili Bowl. But the white cops will never show up. they would never show up. So, I appreciate, my girl, Virginia, saying, hey, man, yeah, I appreciate you. And that's what it's all about, man. You got to keep it moving. Even if people don't appreciate you, you got to keep it moving. And that's why, me being Harold Bell and having confidence in who I was, that never stopped me, man. So Kamal, take us out of here.
Well, as we go out, I want to give credit to the three of you for a lifelong commitment to community. Lynn, it was a fabulous production on Monday, and Harold, this show led behind that. So let's keep that work up. But as we end, I just want to pay tribute to who we've lost recently. We lost the great Jesse Jackson. We lost a gentleman named Ray Savoy, who was big in this community. We lost Reverend Hagler, and we lost Pierpont Mobley. So on that note, I would just pay homage to them and all the work that they've done in their lifetimes. And let's keep this up, guys. Let's have the next event, the next conversation. Let's get the momentum. And like you say, Joe, let's get some young people involved as well, like Shannon.
Shannon, you got the last word. Shannon, you got the last word.
No, thank you.
I want to thank Shannon for shooting that photography. That's invaluable. And I'll talk to you about that, brother, because you did thank you, Harold, for turning me on to Shannon. And thank you, Shannon, for covering it. I was just so happy with what I saw, what he did.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Any way I could be of service, just let me know. I want the stories to live on. I want the people who put the stories together to live on, so that we can have that look, so we can have those sites to see that they don't put us on the major platforms and stations on, but that it's still here and it's still accessible to our community. So thank y'all so much, man. And this is Inside Sports Legacy Network with the great Harold Bell. It's honored to even, be here sitting with you all. Thank you.
I want to say, man, as I always say, man, that that every black face is not your brother, every white face is not your enemy. And I think about what Kamal has been saying about the people we lost. I've lost some great people, man, and included in that is Judge Luke C. Moore, man. The judges, I had the judges out behind me when I was out there. The judges from the D.C. Superior Court followed Luke Moore wherever he went, and he went with kids in trouble and inside sports. Thank my wife Hattie and her father, who was the president of the NAACP in Orangeburg, South Carolina, taught at South Carolina State, started the first student voter registration drive on college campus at South Carolina State with Dr. Charles H. Thomas. And so my wife came in with the civil rights background, been locked up in jail and everything. So 57 years, she's led me, not me leading me. And I thank her for that, man. Thank you guys again. Let's do it again, man. Let's talk, man. If you don't communicate, you have no idea what's going on. So until next Saturday at the same time, I'm Harold Bell, and you can color me gone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Harold.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Invited by Nixon to come to the White House. His own people show their jealousy, so what? Lights out. That great man's name is Harold Bell. He knew Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali up close and personal. Yeah. When it comes to this brother, there is no comparing. He also knew brother Gil Scott-Heron. If Harold Bell had played the game, he would have been a millionaire. We would have been calling Howard Cosell the Black Harold Bell. Oh yeah. Muhammad Ali, Harold Bell, Gil Scott-Heron, Kendrick Lamar, Rumble, young man, rumble, beautiful young man, never tumble, never tumble, never tumble. Muhammad Ali, Harold Bell, Gil Scott-Heron, Kendrick Lamar, Rumble, young man, rumble, beautiful young man, never tumble, never tumble, never tumble. The revolution will not be on your telly. Yeah. The revolution will not be on your telly. Yeah. The revolution, when it happens, will start in your mind. No one will be able to see it or make recordings of it of any kind. He told you the truth while the government was telling you lies. From the mind of Gil Scott-Heron, revolution will not be televised. His aggressive, no-nonsense street poetry inspired a legion of intelligent rappers.